Hey everybody, this is a continuation off of the lesson I did of the mouse theremin. So in our sketch we created a oscillator object, so sound synthesis as opposed to uploading sounds, and then we were able to trigger that with a mouse press, and then it stops when we release the mouse. And then using the map function, which we learned about, we mapped the movement of the mouse on the x-axis to create the frequency. And then we used the map function to change the volume or the amplitude of the pitch volume. So it goes down, it goes quiet, it goes. So I have a great annoying little piece of code here. So what I wanted to do here is, since we're in P5, we want to try and add some visual elements to this as well. So my thought was I wanted to add a changing of the color background. So as I move from one side to the next, the color of the background will change shape. Now to do that, we've used RGB values for color. We learned about hex codes for color, and this time we're going to use different. So there's many different methods that we can use to put color in our sketches. So this one we're going to use is called HSB. So I'm going to go HSB color values and just Google this, so kind of gives you this idea. So HSB stands for hue, saturation, and brightness. And you can Google and find a lot of different ways. There's ways you can convert RGB to HSB and any and all of that. But this is the one we're going to use, and I'll explain why in a minute. So to go to HSB color values, we need to in setup change that mode, so we default to RGB. So when I put like fill and then I put 3 values, it's going to be the RGB value. But I'm going to go into setup and I'm going to write color capital M mode, open close parentheses, and in that in all caps I'm going to write HSB. So now when I run my sketch, it's going to give me the HSB, so it knows when I do fills or color values that it's that. Okay, so just to show you, if I go to the background here, HSB, hue, saturation, brightness. So the hue is the actual color. Okay, and in these diagrams you see it's kind of represented as a circle. So the color values go between 0 and 360. So I'll start at 0 here. Now the saturation is, I always get these mixed up. One is for how much black is added to it, one is for how much white. So I'm pretty sure that the saturation is the black. So if I do 100, it will be all saturated with color. If I do 0, it will be completely black. And then brightness is the amount of light that's added to it, or white. So if I add 100, it's going to be very bright. And if I have 0, I believe it would be white. I may not be 100% on this, but you can look into it. But if I do 0, 100, 100, that is actually going to give me a background of red. Sounds like someone's awake in the background there. So I have a background color of red. If I do like 180, it gives me what looks like a cyan. Again, if I change maybe one of these colors to 0, it turns it, okay, that turns it white. And then I change that, turns it black. Okay, so maybe I mix those up, but I'm not even going to play around with those. I'm just going to use this color here. Okay, so I'll put it back to 0 for now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the map function again. So I'm going to do let, I'll call it C, okay? I'm not going to call it color, because color is actually already a function, so it would be me making a variable called draw or setup. I can't do that because it's already something in P5. So I'm going to call it C for color, and then I'm going to use the map function again. So this time I'm going to map mouse X, because I want it to change when I move the mouse. So mouse X again is from 0 to the width, and the new range, remember the map function maps one variable that has a range to a new range. In this case, I'm going to map from 0 to 360. Okay, and then I'm going to take that new variable C, which maps the mouse X from its width to 0 to 360, and I'm going to put C. Now this is going to change regardless of if I'm pressing the mouse or not. So you watch, I now move my mouse and I can see the color. I press it, Okay, so it changes color as I move the mouse as well. Okay, now just to maybe add a little something else, maybe I'll do B. So now I'm going to map it so when I'm at the top, it's going to be completely colorful, and as I go down, maybe it gets darker. So it turns more to black by changing, I believe, the brightness is what that's going to do. So I'm going to do mouse Y, and again from 0 to height, so that's the range of mouse Y. And then I'm going to go from, again, I'm going to start at the top with the higher number, so maybe 100, and I'll go to 0 there. And now I'm going to put that for the brightness. And then if I click, I start, I go down, and it gets darker and darker and darker with the volume. So I can go here. Okay, so that's just one way that I can play around with doing it. So now you can kind of go in and play around with some other kind of visuals. Maybe you want to map the size of an ellipse to change, so it gets bigger as you go up or you go down, and smaller as you go down. Or maybe you want the ellipse to follow the mouse around. So there's so many things you could do with that. Maybe you want to make it so that the colors will only change when you are pressing the mouse as well. So that's something to consider. So play around with it, see what you can do, but this was basically just to really introduce you to the map function and also how we can make oscillator sounds and sound synthesis in p5.js, which is something we'll be doing a lot more with over the following weeks. Okay, so have fun with that. Again, if you want to share it with me, go ahead, post it in the Google Doc on Google Classroom, show me what you changed, and share it out. All right, so see you next time.